This here, where there's the plan to plant the Paulownia trees. With all the rain, and it's pretty cold also, some 15 degrees only. Not much has happened. My plan is to mow this before we even think about setting the Paulownia trees. Because you can see, this is all very tall and thick. So this will be at the end of May. But that's okay. Paulownia trees need heat and moisture, and we have both when the month progresses. And the fact that we have standing water there means that we have had rain, and on the left side it is also full. So this is all from the rain that we had. This is not falling dry for the time being, because the water comes from two sides. They are from the neighbor ahead and also to the left. And I'm on my way to turn off the pump at the outflow of the water reservoir, so that this well here, which we backfill, will not overflow. So it's time that I do this. But this is a very pleasant sight with all the poppies here. And need to find my way here to stay more or less dry. But you see how lush this is all. Yeah, this all is. The clover is also very tall. Well, that's quite interesting what rain and sun are doing. Of course, here we have a lot of thistles. That's the part that I don't like. But everything thrives, including these thistles. We do lack grazing animals. Now it would be great to have a herd of cows. They would take advantage of all this. Unfortunately, you can't tell someone, oh, bring your cows over, there is food, just for a quick run, because that requires a piece of paperwork. In Spanish it's called a guía. It's basically a permission to transfer animals from one side to another, and both sides have to be registered. The veterinarians have a say in this, and then you can do this. This is usually something that happens when you sell animals. If you are the owner of both places, then this might be different. But if that's not the case, then it's like a sale, and therefore nobody does it. This is where we had the sun lamp and friends. And so far, the self-seeded ones, they are not to be seen, it's too cold. And also there's all the other vegetation. I assume that once summer comes around, then this will die off and the other things might then germinate and start growing. The irrigation will be removed because priorities have shifted. This material should be used in a different location, but it's not that we will spend time on removing this for removing it. We simply come here and use the material when we need it. And we are about to start to do this. Also, I don't have the opportunity right now to fly the drone and do a very detailed video about this Miyawaki forest. I can at least show you how it looks like. And you see that it looks very overgrown. It is very moist in there because of all the rain. And I simply hope that what we planted gets not shaded out. Miyawaki is all about competition, so therefore I assume that what we planted will fight for light and most will win. At least that's as I understood the concept. And I hope you can see all the butterflies. So here we have a good example how it's supposed to look like. You see the bright green thing. This is definitely gaining. It's on top. And there's something else in front. And here to the left there is another one. So this is very positive. I also see something that we planted there in the back to the right. I don't see any pine trees here in this sector at the moment. Ah, no, I do. So here is a pine tree. Should be in the center now. So they are around and they just need to fight for the light. And all the other species that we put in here as well. Of course, if you look like this, it looks like completely overgrown. But I keep saying this. We will see how this looks like when all the things that are now thriving will die off for the summer. Then we will see what the actual situation is. It is a glorious sunny day, and it was possible to take the backhoe over this pass here, so we did not sink in. And here it is at the end of a little bit of work. I took some material out of this. This hole, of course, the next rain will fill and become a pond. And yeah, maybe we could have a pond here for real. But that's for later to decide. And here on that side, there is already the beginning of the area that we want to use for the pigs. I also have something new here that I can show you. So we started these indoors and then put them here in these pots. And here on the other side there is also something going. The first one is already there, the others, they will be coming. There are some greenish things showing up. Those will be flowers. This here is a mix of basil here to the left, and you see what that is. So these would be tomatoes. It's these two, the rest is basil. And this is to avoid a puddle in front of the door. The whole point here is to raise this so that this will be level, and then it will be the level of the porch basically. But as the long-term plan is to remove this house and use this space for a pool, a natural pool that I want to build here, this is all temporary and doesn't really matter. But we want to raise this so that when it drips, there will be no puddle. And this way the water flows left and right, so means that direction and where I am. And we also got a box. Unfortunately, paint wasn't the right one, so it fractured immediately. it doesn't matter. We use this box to store our waste, the plastic and metal waste, before we take it out using the trailer to a collection point. And this is much cleaner, because before we had a problem with the rats, and now we don't, because this is well closed. Oh, I think this is extremely important to know. I just moved the soil moisture sensor. It used to be here in front of this tree, there where the stone is. You see the pond there. The measurement here was around 28–30%. And the area there is also very moist. And now I moved it to the wobbler there, the one that you see there to the left. And there it measures at a depth of some 15 centimeters, where the tip of the sensor is, just 9%. So this area does need irrigation, because the water from the pond does not get there yet. So this is very important to know. This area is pretty dry, and that of course also affects the trees. If they can root deep enough, they will get to the moisture, but then given the distance to the pond, they would have had to make roots of 3–4 meters already, and that's not the case. So definitely we need moisture there. So time to turn on the irrigation. And before I do so you see the standing water here in front of the future dog enclosure. You see, in all these ruts we have standing water. And it does not disappear. This is not from the irrigation run that I just had, 30 minutes. This is not the water from there. That is the water that comes from the pond. So basically the area below the pond is saturated and continues to be like that, which is good, and which is why we have these new trees here. But this is basically upstream, and therefore it's dry. So we need the irrigation to somehow even that out. This is the first attempt to determine the size of the pig corral. This should have a nice fence and also some other accommodations, or interesting things for the pigs inside, some other features. And this is how it could be. So you see the white string. Of course, here on this image it won't make it justice, but this is a rough idea. So one thing that I should mention is my plan is to have a longer fence post here that elevates above ground 2 meters, and then we can put a triangle sail for shade here in that corner, so that the pigs have a shaded area on this side, and this tree provides a lot of shade, and also the other one there to the left provides a lot of shade in that area, so that there are 2 spots where they can be in the shade. The whole corral will be filled with straw as bedding, and here on the left side the idea is to install some sort of a shower, so a way to create a wallow here in this area, so that the pigs during summer will not suffer from the heat, so they can cool themselves down and also go into the shade The feeding station and the water will be on that side, so that there's easy access. I can actually show you this from the other side. So the idea is, you come in through these 2 gates and you carry nothing, just yourself, and then you come here, and of course this gets cleaned up, and then there will be 2 barrels with feed sitting right there behind the chicken coop, and the animal water will be in that side so that it's always in the shade and protected, and then the feed gets provided over the fence using a little shovel onto a feeder there where they can eat what we provide. This will not be ad libitum, instead this will be provided. So the typical summer ration is 1 kilo per pig during the summer, might be 1.5 kilos, depends a little bit, but they will kept short so that in November they have a weight of 100 kilos, and then they will fatten themselves up to 170 kilos, which is then the slaughter weight. So that's how you do this with Iberico pigs. They are smaller than most other pig breeds, so therefore we need to have a little bit of control, and the idea is that the animals can spend this time here inside of this in deep bagging, but in a more or less natural environment. What I should mention is the next iteration will then see a gate and a walled, a fenced path that goes there to the left, and there will be things over there. I mentioned some of these things in previous videos. So this is now the beginning of the reality of this idea. So we will see. And for now there will be nothing. The fence goes through. The only access will be there, and eventually I want to build this in such a way that this fence on that side can be removed completely so that we can enter with a machine. For now we only have the backhoe, but I hope that I will be able to get us something that is a lot smaller and more suitable for this. I'm talking about how to remove the deep bedding, how to make use of this when the pigs have gone, when they are outside in a different area, to clean this up and all this. So some sort of a small loader, tractor, something like that. Point is, there will be an entrance, a gate. For now, this will be just part of the fence, the same fencing material. So not a pretty gate, but something makeshift, because they are not supposed to go in and out for the time being. So they will come in, the trailer will back up to this, then we unload them, the 7 that we want to have for now, and then they will stay in here, and when November comes around, then we open this, and then it stays open so that they can go in and out. So the fence will be the real version, not a temporary one, but it's being made in such a way that we can iterate over the design and make it more suitable for the long-term vision for this. What I also should mention is that on this side, the existing fence, as makeshift as it might be, will stay. No intention to touch this. This comes later. But there will be electrical elements in here that also helps to train the pigs on electric fencing. So all around there will be a wire, and we will put an energizer dedicated to this corral here. So that way there will be no problem that they might try to push and get out or something like that. So they will keep a safe distance. From experience I can tell you, pigs try this once and then they will never do this again. Unless, and we also had this, they learn that this is a pulse, and then as a group there will be always one volunteer who will try this, and then the others will quickly follow. So they figure out that this is pulsed. The first one will be the guinea pig, so to say. And if that one does not get shocked, does not quake, then everybody else will run after that one, after the volunteer. But as long as they haven't figured this out, they will keep a distance once they know that this is a hot wire. They are smart. But of course there is the physical fence. The idea is that they don't stay there and try to excavate. After some IT work, I did some relaxation. I took the backhoe and I made this. So the idea here is to level this in such a way that it goes down and to the left, so that the water can find its way into that direction there. Of course, this is all wet and it's not finished, and the backhoe is not the right tool for any job, but you can do any job. So therefore, this is a work in progress, but I'm happy so far. And here on that side, the idea is that it rises a little bit. So that is basically the reference level. You see there in front of the house, this gets also filled, but this is for later. And of course, I should mention this. If this is the first time you see this house eventually gets removed. So therefore, this is all okay the way it is. I just want to avoid a puddle there. So here, this is also taking shape. I will not destroy the grasses there. I had some spare seed, leftover seed, and I used them, and now I'm waiting for all these plants to make their own seed so that there is something here. Therefore, I will not fill this for the time being, because it means I will destroy the plants. So I want them to mature, spread the seed, so that we have it here in the farmyard. And then I can remodel this. Eventually, there will be some reinforcements here for the grasses, so that we can drive over grasses. I mentioned this before. Therefore, this doesn't have to be perfect. This is just so that it can actually, move the water in the direction and is prepared for the installation of the other stuff. And over here, the driveway is also taking shape. So the thing here to the left is required so that we can receive the pigs that we ordered. The guy is waiting for us to be ready. So there we have this entrance. There where the backhoe is, you see a gate. This is also in the process of being repaired and re-established. And eventually that driveway will then go through here. But this is for a lot later. And by the time this will happen, these lines will also not be there. One is a water line, the other is a very important electric cable. So for the time being, they just sit there. And later, when there will be a fence post somewhere here for the nursery, then this gets properly installed. So the irrigation line probably will get buried here, and the electrical cable, this is the cable from the solar array that is over there. There will be another solar array next to it, and in the context of that, this cable here gets then rerouted, and it will probably run along this driveway. There has to be some order that things are in a certain place and always in that place. I have to think a little bit like the developer of a subdivision, something like that. Well, and I can also tell you where I took the material from. That's quite funny. I'm making a pond, but of course it's not a permanent pond. So there ahead you can see there's a hole. This is just a convenient place to take material out of, and of course when it rains it fills with water, and so it appears to be a pond. It could actually become a pond, but I don't see that, because eventually this installation for cattle will get used again, but not for now. It can also be used for pigs and for other animals. So this is a permanent fixture here. We just need to make the other circle here like that, and then there's a third circle so that you can move the animals. They want to go forward and eventually end up single file in this circle, half circle that already exists. It served us well, and it should in the future. So this is a little update here, and the other thing that I need to get going with is over there. You see there in the trailer there is a water line, and this water line and conduit for electrical cables will then get buried over there. But the pig corral has priority, that's first.